Good afternoon. This is Jessica Birchfield reporting from Technology eNews. I will be covering ethical mishaps involving technology. Our first story comes out in New York City, where a nurse was fired after a traumatic and dramatic event. Her firing had nothing to do with heart transplants or gunshot wounds, but everything to do with the Instagram hashtag #ManVersusTrain. The nurse posted a picture of a messy but empty trauma ER room that was used to care for a man who was hit by a subway train. The nurse said that her supervisor told her that it was okay to post that picture on Instagram. Later that day, she was fired for violating HIPAA and patient privacy standards. Tips for avoiding this situation: use extreme caution when mixing social media with healthcare, or better yet, do not use social media at all involving patient care. Story number 2 comes out of California, where a 16-year-old boy was preparing for a procedure the next morning. He began to have numbness and tingling, so the nurse called the doctor. The doctor reviewed the patient's chart and found that the nurse had given the child 38.5 pills when he just should have received 1. After investigation, it was found that the computer charting technology had miscalculated the dose, which caused the nurse to give 38.5 pills instead of just the 1 that he needed. The child later that night went on to have a seizure and became very critical. Thankfully, he is recovering and is doing okay. Tips to avoid this situation: beware of the virtual pharmacist. And if something doesn't make sense, verify it. Never assume that it is correct. Our last story comes from the University of Georgia, where a student was dismissed from the university. The student hacked into his professor's account to change his grades. The student is facing 71 counts of computer forgery and 9 counts of computer trespassing. Tips for avoiding this situation: have a strong and secure password. Use a mixture of letters, numbers, and symbols. Make sure your password is not common. Use 2-step verification. Use a password manager, and always log out. And on the flip side, I advise you to study and not cheat. This is Jessica Birchfield reporting from eNews Technology. Everyone have a great weekend.